Hey guys, welcome back to the Golf Podcast presented by Golficity. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got weekly episodes every single week. And of course, the big story we got to talk about this week, Mike, Kapalua. We've got some scoring records.
Yeah, we do.
Right? We got Cam doing some incredible things. But we put a poll out there. Mm-hmm. Who wore it better? Because Cam is still rocking the mullet. You got to give him points for sticking with it.
He's got the mullet, loving it. I think he's going to stick with it. But
I think so too. But OG John Daly or current day Cam Smith, who takes it for the better mullet? Let's put that poll up there.
I saw it. Let's see. Oh, of course they went Daly. Look at that, 61% over 39. Now John looks a little more cleaner, I should say, a little more conditioner in there. Looks a little like
heard
vibrant.
Someone refer to Cam's as a rat tail.
Yeah, I could see it. Little.
It's definitely,
Yeah, but we're looking at like a sweaty end of round Cam. I'm not trying to, make excuses for him. But go back to that real quick. I wanted to just take a look at that because Daly's look, that's a lot of conditioner. It's fluffy. It's blowing in the wind. Cam's looks sweaty, messy.
Well, I showed this to my wife, who doesn't know who either person is, and she asked me immediately, she says, is that real? She asked me that 3 times. Is that real? Like, she wanted to see if I was like pranking her or videotaping her response. But I tell you what, you guys like John Daly because we put the poll out on the YouTube community page as well, and 951 votes, 66% went to John Daly. So it mirrored that poll that we put on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, you guys, like the OG John Daly.
I think just a lot of people are just hating on the Cam Smith hairdo. I hear a lot of negativity how rat-taily it does look.
Even more credit to him for keeping it going.
Of course.
Because I've heard in interviews too where he said both his girlfriend, who I think now is his fiance, he might have gotten engaged.
She might have.
I thought I saw this somewhere in the news, but both his girlfriend and his mother both tell him repeatedly that they hate it and to get rid of it, and he's keeping it going. And I guess what it comes back to is he's a big rugby guy, being from Australia, and I guess that was a trend with some of with the Australian rugby team, and they got him into it, and now he's into it. But he's committed now. This is no fad. He's had that hair going like that for at least a year.
It's a story, man. He's going to stick with it. Plus, he just set a PGA Tour scoring record. Yeah. So now you don't shave it.
Yeah, and he's playing well. He's playing well. So I guess keep it going. It's like today's version of a playoff beard.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to go for.
I can see that
over there.
I can see you're going
long. Hoping for the mullet. It's
oh my lord! Look at that.
That thing
got a couple.
That's textbook
couple
Edward
months to get there.
Scissorhands
But
right there.
Cam Smith mullet.
Listen, that thing gets long enough. You got to let us in studio shave the sides and make that thing a full mullet.
He'll never let us.
I'm
do
down
it.
with that.
Have you doing it?
Do you man bun that?
Not yet. It's not long enough. I need another probably 4 months.
Wow.
4 months, and then he gets the full mullet treatment.
Full mullet man bun treatment.
Anyway, we're going to jump more into that. We're going to talk about the previous scoring record with Ernie Els,
which I didn't know. He told me this morning, so that's interesting.
Well, I saw Ernie's tweet. He was kind of joking around, talking about how finally someone broke his record. But not only him, I 3 guys did it last week, which just shows you how scoreable Kapalua is.
Yes.
And we're going to see something different this week. Sony, these guys still go low, but it's not the course is not as reliant on wind conditions as a defense than Kapalua is.
Right, yes.
Kapalua, the wind is down. Those guys can just go as low with it, which was clearly here. I think Cam had 3 eagles and God knows how many birdies.
I couldn't.
I mean, imagine 3 eagles in a week.
Birdies,
yeah,
right?
It's
ridiculous,
insane. But anyway, one other thing that I had to show you, this popped across my feed, and immediately I saw this and we reshared it on the Golficity Instagram account. But Seve's 1-iron. We've been talking more and more about Seve. I think this guy, he's just been an inspiration. We recently did a 3-club challenge that was inspired by Seve and showing how early on in his career he was so limited. He only played with a 1-iron. He had to learn the game. So now he eventually could do anything with that 1-iron. He could hit flop shots out of a bunker with it, which is just incredible. But you look at this wear pattern on his 1-iron, and it's just pure goals.
Look at that thing.
It's just, we see there, you say, we found that at Flushing at Golf Handle, but it originally, I think, came from the Seve account. Whoever's running the Seve account shared that thing. I'll tell you what, I would kill for a wear pattern like that on any of my clubs.
Seriously.
But pull that back up for a second again, Zach, and you see here somebody in the comments He said, could have been a groove higher.
Yeah, of course.
I'm hoping that's tongue in cheek because we're talking about one of the best ball strikers ever. But look at that wear pattern.
Look at that. Look at that club. And by the way, I didn't tell you this, but last night I'm lying in bed and I couldn't sleep. So I went on eBay and I actually purchased the zero iron.
You did?
Yeah, I bought the Wilson John Daly zero iron.
Nice.
It was
Can't wait to try to hit
a
that.
decent price. It was cheap because it's used and it's en route. It'll be here in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's got a great grip on it. Nice, good, strong shaft. I mean, it looks way better than that one iron.
That one iron.
This thing looks sturdy because it's made from Wilson.
Okay.
It's a driving iron. It's zero. It's a zero on the top.
Zero. It all comes down to that shaft because like the one iron that we have, we did a couple of videos with. It's just too whippy. The shaft, I just can't.
It is whippy. It's hard to hit.
But it'll be interesting. What is it? I think what is a zero iron considered in loft? I think it's got to be like it's somewhere around like 7 to 10 degrees of loft on a zero. Because I think a one iron is
what's a putter?
Putter's usually like 3, 4.
Right. I mean, even I think
loft.
Phil played with like a 7-degree putter. A little bit of loft.
I think
on it.
I remember hearing something like
so
that.
So he basically has one iron.
But
loft.
I've seen one iron somewhere in the 11 to 13 degree loft. I gotta look it up. If I'm wrong, let me know.
That seems about right. Seems about right because our drivers are about 9 to 10, 11, right?
Yeah, 9. Right.
Right. So. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up. We'll have to check
That'll
that
be
out.
fun to play with.
And either way, it's going to be a challenge. But let's dig in a little bit and talk about the Century. So first of all, last week, Mike, you made a long shot bet on Phil Mickelson. And how'd that work out for you?
Not so great. Not so great. And guys, if you missed last week, I talked about small bets on, I don't know. I go on this gambling app and which is funny. It's so funny. I live on the border of New York and New Jersey. So I have to walk into the cul-de-sac out the front door to place the bet. Because if I'm in my living room, they think I'm in New York.
That's funny.
But anyway, I threw $5 on Mickelson. If he would have hit, I think it was $1,500. It's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like, what if the guy has a lights out week like he did at Kapalua, at Kiawah? Yeah. You know, what if he really shows up to win? So that's my thing every day. So this week it didn't work out. I think he finished almost dead last. He was at the end there. You were ripping me for it. It's like you picked a guy with no experience and you throw $5 on him. Yes, because that's what my betting strategy is all about. I don't take the guys who are favored. I got some guy in here like Higo on here. I don't know who he is. I think he's some new up and coming golfer on tour. I threw $2 on him this week at the Sony, and if he wins, like $1,000.
Okay,
I love the long
shot.
shots.
He loves the long shot.
You know, eat the slop.
I tell you what. Speaking of which, last place. Last place.
How incredible
at the
is
Century. Gets $101,000.
Yeah, a non-miscut event. You
Non-miss.
get $101,000, a family trip to the Hawaii.
Yeah, it's
And
almost
that's
like your bonus for winning on the PGA Tour.
It's a bonus event. Yeah,
You know
that's
it?
your bonus.
Yeah,
It's a great bonus.
yeah. But I tell you what, no matter what, it's a fun event every year. I always enjoy it. Like I said, just for all the reasons we talked about last week. Getting to watch that prime time golf later in the day, and it's just beautiful golf courses. And every once in a while, sure, I of course, for all the reasons you can imagine, I love the majors. I love to see these golf courses that are just tuned up just to like beat these guys bad. And you got the winning score. They're lucky if they're under par. But I also like the other side of the spectrum. Sometimes just letting these guys have a pure shootout,
like
just
move 'em up to the red
unleash these
tees.
guys.
Same thing, yeah.
Right, and they 33 under, 32 under, 31 under. I mean, it's insanity, but
Video games.
It's fun. I mean, so that was fun to watch. But speaking of which, $101,000 the guy in last place. Now this is its own, like I said, it's a no cut event, a smaller field event. It's an invite champions event. It's not every PGA Tour event is like this, but this week another thing that surfaced was Jack Nicklaus, an image of his first check he won for his first PGA Tour win. I believe it was in 1962. Let's see. Zach, can you pull that up? It's 60 years ago. So on this day, 60 years ago, his 1962 LA Open. $33.33 for tying 50th. It just shows you how far this game's come. Now, before we talk about what you would make in 50th place now, do you know what that is adjusted for inflation? Were you able to find a little inflation calculator?
I'm doing it right now. $33 with a 3% inflation after 60 years is only $194.
After 6 years, we're saying 60 years.
60. Am I doing
60.
that wrong? That doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem right. We'll get, what did I call you last week? Rain Man?
Rain Man.
Yeah. But anyway, so while Mike figures that out.
While Mike
figures his life out.
Right.
For reference, so last year, the 2021 Butterfield Bermuda Championship, right? So it's no huge event, but it's a PGA Tour event. 50th place took home $15,717. Another reference, 2021 3M Open. 50th place there was good for $16,962.
Yeah.
So obviously the game has changed quite a bit in the
It really
amount that
has.
these guys can make.
It really, really has, man.
I love when guys do dive in and do the real calculations. Like somebody did it recently for like Ben Hogan, and they went through and they said if it was current day. So this is not just inflation, because you understand something. The other thing is that compensation has changed dramatically as the tour has grown. It's grown in viewership, therefore bringing bigger sponsors. I think a lot of people can argue that the Tiger effect had a huge part in that, you know, and I've heard other PGA Tour players thanking Tiger for what he's done for the game in that way by bringing more eyes. I mean, think about it. Tiger brought like Nike into the game.
That's right. Yeah.
And then there's bringing big names and big money into the game. And then now you're starting to see these purses go up and up, which, by the way, we'll talk about more later in the show. I got to talk about on the women's side, we're starting to see that, which I think it's been long overdue.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
The purses increasing there. Yep. So this is beyond just inflation.
Yeah, it is $303, by the way.
$303.
I mean, it's only $33.
Okay, yeah. So it's
so 100,000 in 1962. Is it worth about $1 million today?
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. So this is far more than just inflation. But you're starting to see that the PGA Tour, you're getting more, you know, it's becoming more and more lucrative, and it's becoming more and more competitive. Here's another thing. I didn't know this. When I was researching some of these, like what people had made at different spots for 50th place, I came across this. In 2021, the PGA Tour paid out a bonus of $50,000 to every player who played in 15 or more events, which is just about every player in the top 150.
That's sweet.
Nice little bonus just for being out there. And I saw
$50,000.
And I was wondering, what is the incentive behind this bonus? I was wondering do you think this is COVID related? Do you think this was an incentive to get more guys out there traveling and playing again in a year where some guys might sit certain events out?
But why would they need to incentivize guys to go out and win trophies and make money?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Was the need, were there some guys, especially in the top ranks, who'd be like, where maybe money's not as much of a driver for them anymore, who might say, I may sit out a couple more extra events this year. I'm traveling less with COVID. Do you think it was a COVID incentive? Or do you think this is just something that,
I think they're just so rich with money, they don't know what to do with it.
Hey, because you look at the player incentive program. Yeah. These guys are making such big bucks.
Is it 15 starts, or do you have to make 15 cuts?
You had to play in 15 events. So you had to make 15 starts. You had to show up to 15.
Zach, events. Show up to work 15 times. We'll give you $50,000.
$50,000.
Hey, I'd love that.
And shave your head too. But yeah, so I mean, regardless,
have to be more than 50,000 for that.
Okay,
we're seeing like the PGA Tour, and I do like that the PGA Tour is clearly raking it in, right? Clearly. Viewership is way up. We saw like viewership even at like with Tiger at the PNC was as high as it was at the Open Championship. So viewership is compounding, but it's good to see that money in some ways going back to the players who are driving the viewership.
Definitely.
So,
definitely, it's nice to see that.
I don't hate it. And actually, last week we debated who had the harder schedule, the MLB or PGA Tour. Yeah. And the comments got hot.
They got hot.
People had very strong opinions in both directions.
I still agree with my opinion on MLB. I think it's a gruel. I think it's a grind, man. And people were saying MLB. I could see still,
and I still doubling down on PGA Tour. Yeah. You know, some guys were making good solid points of saying like, PGA Tour, like you're starting, I mean, these bonuses aside, and of course the contracts you sign for like sponsorship deals and apparel deals aside, you got to go out there every week, and you have that pressure to win and perform. You know, with MLB, you know, you sign a contract, and of course you got to perform so you can sign another contract.
So you don't go to AAA.
You could hit a 7-year contract. You're getting paid the same amount of money no matter how you perform. Now there are bonuses. I get it. There's like little structures, stuff like that. But that's a lot of pressure to know. Like some weeks you come in 50th place, you're making $15,000. It might not even cover your. The other thing we haven't talked about is the other side of that coin is the expenses. Think about PGA Tour players nowadays. With what it costs for them.
It costs their team.
Right.
To
the teams around them.
The teams around them.
They've got a swing guy, a fitness guy. They got to pay all those people.
Right. They're on the payroll.
They got to travel. You know what I mean?
Whereas you belong to an MLB team, you show up to work and travel's taken care of.
Right.
You're traveling
So
with
like
the team.
there's expenses. So there's going to be some weeks on the PGA Tour you're playing Thursday through whenever, probably if you're cut, it's probably, Tuesday through Thursday. You're playing your practice rounds, and then you may walk home with nothing.
It's true. You may walk home with nothing, and it just becomes more of an expense than anything else. So maybe, I guess, if we rephrased that and we talked about, the up-and-coming PGA Tour player versus an up-and-coming MLB player, who's got it harder? Who has more pressure?
Yeah.
That's a tough one because...
I think it's a good debate because, you know what? Both of them, when you think about the lower leagues, the farm leagues and stuff like that, that's so hard. I mean, a lot of these guys, it's an investment they're putting. They're not making back what the cost is for them.
There was a kid in high school that was like the most talked about guy around. He threw like 94 miles per hour. He was a phenom. He went to like top college. He made it to AAA, but after AAA, we've never heard from him again. He just wasn't good enough to get up to the pro level. And like the whole time growing up, I'm like, dude, this guy's going to go.
And you always think he's the best guy in your town by far, but it's just can't hack it.
Exactly.
It's
same on tour. Best golfer in town, but still can't make it.
It just shows there's so much pressure.
Of course.
Anyway, switching back, talking about Cam again, because I want to make sure we talk about this scoring record. I mean, I think it was incredible what he did. No matter what. You could say it was easier conditions, whatever it is. 33 under par. 34 under par.
Let's give him that one more stroke.
Yeah, give him everything he earned. It's like video game. Right?
It
reminds me of you talking about you playing.
Now, when I play Kapalua, see 65, 64, 64, my Kapalua scores on Xbox look like 56, 57, 54. I have a good day, I go 54. I'm making eagles all day.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's like video game golf for these guys there. And like you said, when the wind is down, I mean, some of those par fives are reachable with like an 8-iron.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, it's a totally different tournament if it's windy. But we took a quick peek through the bag, Cam's bag. Obviously, Titleist guy.
Big Titleist guy. Yeah.
The TSI 3 driver, TSI 2 3 wood.
I think he had the new SM9s there, which we're going to talk about in a sec.
Did he have the SM9s in the bag?
Yeah, I think he had them in there.
Yep, he had the new SM9s in play.
I think all of them out there who are Titleist staffers had those wedges in the bag.
Yep, and he's playing the T100 irons as well.
Of course.
Yeah, so it's just, again, incredible what he was able to do.
By the way, speaking of running through the bag, just a quick sidebar. So my father went to get a lesson from Sprecher.
Yeah.
And he did like a swing eval, like he did with Zach. He did like that interview.
Yep.
And he trying to get him to swing deeper. And he told him, he goes, and my mother took a lesson too, because they both golfed together.
Don't tell me he's as steep as you.
No.
Don't tell me.
He said to him, he goes, I don't know how your son's related to you. He takes more divots for the two of you combined for life. He's like, you guys take no divots. He's like, there's no genetics here.
That's hilarious.
So that just made me think of it when we were going through the...
That is shocking. No genetics.
I didn't get that from my parents. All right, I did not.
So we got to find out where you got that.
We'll find out.
Which, by the way, coming out, we got a video coming out with your biggest divot ever. Which is saying a lot.
We're calling it a manhole cover.
It's like the size of this table.
Yeah, something was off with the ground that day.
Yeah,
that one little divot like ripped up. It's
nice just chunk. That the fairway had gotten so wet and soaked. It just like once you started it, it's like when you peel the corner or something and the whole thing comes off. That's exactly what happened with that divot.
Right. Mike could have worn that thing as a cape. Like Batman.
I definitely could have.
I should have. You'll have to see that one on the main Golficity channel. That'll be coming out real soon. But yeah, the course record. There's like I said, a lot of guys went low. And imagine your guys like John Rahm and you also break the scoring record previously held by Ernie Els, and you don't hold it for long because Cam beat you by a stroke or two.
He beat you. He got you. So wait, so Ernie was 31 under, and that was held out for 19 years?
Yeah, so
incredible.
And hilarious. He has to get that extra dig in there. Ernie Els tweets out, it was about time. So it was 2003. Throw that graphic back up for a second.
Those old-timers love giving it to the young guns.
It was 2003, I believe. We looked it up, and what was it? How many under was
31, I think you said, right? 31 under, says it right there. 31 under at Kapalua.
At Kapalua.
Of course. That's the place to go low. If there was ever like an over-under, like football betting and golf, you take it at Kapalua.
You take it at Kapalua, especially nowadays when you can get that weather forecast a couple days in advance.
Exactly.
You know where these guys are going to go. But so do the bookies, and they know how to set that over under.
They know
for sure.
How do you think you'd fare there? I mean, these guys went low. Like, think about it.
I would just die to play there.
I honestly think that I wouldn't play well. I mean, there was a PGA Tour set up layout from our tees. Forget about the tips.
Okay.
From our tees, just a regular round of golf. I don't think we're going low. It's a tough course.
It is a tough course.
Plus, I think we would just be stunned by the beauty. Like, we wouldn't even be thinking golf.
I'm just thinking about, like, with your game, like, with your length, I mean, you could get close to some of these par 5s and 2 like they were doing. I mean, those are huge scoring opportunities.
Do you think I could shoot under par there?
No.
You said no a lot later than I thought you should. Like, I thought instant no. Instant no.
I mean,
I can't shoot under par anywhere, but I wanted to hear your response to that.
You're happy when you break 80. You do it once. I mean, you're talking about taking a lot more strokes off.
I'm just glad
to
that
go under
he
par.
actually hesitated to think about it. But
I was trying to think, can you, in a course like that, from the tees that we should be playing, take about, you'd have to take about 8 to 10 extra strokes off of your better rounds to shoot under par.
There's no
That's
way.
what you would have to do.
There's no way.
I'm trying to think in my mind, where would you get those strokes? It would really depend. If you had to be putting, you'd have to have your game and you'd have to be putting hot.
I think the question should be from the front tees. We should be debating whether or not I should break par, because if I can't break par from the amateur tees at the local muni, who thinks I'm going to do it at Kapalua?
Right. Yeah. It's funny how the tour players go low and all of a sudden we're bold.
I know.
Like, yeah, we
see 3,400, like we could do it.
It's like, I love that meme. It comes up like every time I watch a PGA Tour event. It's a guy on his couch. It says PGA Tour player misses a 5-foot putt, and the guy's just like turning out the TV. He's like, these guys suck. You know what I mean? It's just terrible.
That's great. Or the guy who goes super low and he starts Googling how to get on the tour. You've seen that meme? How to join the PGA Tour.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but we got another week in Hawaii this week.
That's right. Double week.
A lot of guys are sticking around. One that's not, though, Bryson DeChambeau.
I think he's had enough of Hawaii.
No, he has injured. You think he's faking an injury?
Not faking an injury. I'm sure something's going on there, but
well, he claims his wrist is injured.
Okay.
And he's out, wrist soreness. But I think it digs into a bigger question, and that's just whether or not it's going to be this. It's the old question, because people were asking this about Tiger. People asked this about Rory when he started to bulk up and get his swing speed up.
Mm-hmm. Is
he putting too much of a strain on the body? Is longevity a question when you see what he's doing?
Physically trying to get 230 mile per hour ball speed over and over and over again, training in a simulator, it's got to do something to your wrist.
You would think it's got to put strain on the joints and stuff. But now I don't think that Bryson is somebody who does anything without thinking it through quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And I think it's got to be in his mind and in the conversation of whether it's sustainable the way he's swinging.
But I don't think he's going to give up on it.
I don't either.
Right.
It's working too well for him.
Right.
Think about it. He's one of the most watched players for all these reasons. Even without winning, he's making a lot of money in endorsements, and he's dipped into YouTube, and he's creating his own content around it. People want to see what he's doing. But it just doesn't pass like the sniff test. You think like it's got to be putting a strain on him. And I just wonder, we just don't know a whole lot more than wrist soreness, but it just makes you wonder, is part of this because of this 200 mile an hour ball speed?
I think he's on a quest, man. He's on a mission for something, and he sees guys like his friend now, Kyle Berkshire, hitting 233, and he wants it. He's just going to keep going, and his stuff is entertaining. I mean, I could see how people latch on. Some people treat Bryson as kind of like what they call a car accident, like you can't look away because, it's like a love or hate type guy. But I love the guy. I love his content. I mean, he gets a little nerdy in the weeds with stuff. Like we watched the video the other day. But I just feel like what you said before, what he's doing on tour, there's a reason why people are throwing their logos all over his body.
You'd be hard pressed to say he wasn't entertaining.
There you go.
Because he's definitely entertaining.
That's it.
And I mean, look, nowadays, where all content lives on the internet, people just love something that they can give an opinion on. Yes. Everybody's got an opinion on them. But look, again, it's like I said, it was like with Tiger. People were saying he's back, hold up. And now you're talking about somebody who's, into his early 40s. He's still, even given the recent car accident, he's still competing. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's these guys' bodies, their choice of what they want to do with it. I think that as far as things have come with, with the whole idea of having like doctors and medical and stuff like that watching over you doing it, I think some of these guys can sustain this for quite some time.
I think so.
So I'm hoping that this is just something that kind of, it's one and done, maybe 1 week's rest and he's back at it. But
yeah. By the way, Tiger's odds are like 40 to 1 to win the Masters. And the other day I read an article that I forgot who it was. it wasn't Johnny Miller. It was another one of those gray-haired announcer guys who's an old golfer back in the day. He basically said that he heard through a camp or something that we won't see Tiger at all in professional golf in 22. Like, he's nowhere near it. He's not going to do it. They said the next time you'll see him is the 2022 PNC Championship.
Really?
Yeah. And I totally disagree.
I totally disagree too.
Totally disagree.
That would be a travesty.
I think, if anything, the Masters is a stretch. We're talking less than 100 days away. He's got a lot to go. I mean, he looked great, and he could make that. But if he doesn't, fine. But I think the Open in St. Andrews is 100%. Barring no setbacks between now and then, I think that's 100%.
I'm trying to remember who it was, whether it was Price or Faldo. Somebody, that was their prediction of his first event back, even before he played in the PNC.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, let us know what you guys think. Drop in the comment below. What is Tiger's next event? Where do we see him next in the field? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at some of these other events like Riviera, like the ones that he loves to do.
The Riviera one's going to be it's going to be one that's kind of close to his heart because that's where it happened, right? The next day after Genesis.
Oh, yeah.
It's a year anniversary. So he'll be out there as a host regardless.
Yeah, I can't, unless physically he's not capable of competing, I can't imagine Tiger taking that much time away from competitive golf. Because at the end of the day, like that much time away, it gets even harder to bounce back from. I think he's going to want to just get some competitive golf under his belt. And I think what we saw, now we're talking about already, it's back in November at the PNC. Yes, he had a cart. Yes, some of the times we saw him start to look like he was struggling a little bit, getting a little bit tired, a little bit of a limp. But I mean, that was already 2 months ago.
I mean, here's the quote here. It's Johnny Cook, by the way. He's an announcer. He says, Tiger's never been a, quote, show-up guy if his game isn't prime. And that's true.
I guess, but Tiger's also been the guy who will play through injury and still be competitive.
He'll play through it. Play through it. Now, we've seen that before.
Yeah.
But this guy, Johnny Cook, doesn't see it happening in 22. I hope he's wrong.
I hope Johnny Cook is wrong.
I mean, I feel like we're all just purely like speculating.
Of course.
And that's really hard to do with an injury or multiple injuries like Tiger had. We have no idea where he's at. Yeah, he was in the PNC. Yeah, we saw him play 2 rounds of golf, but he could have been grin and bearing it the entire way through that, just trying to do this event for his son. Like, to me, I thought...
he knew he had a lot of eyes on him, a lot to prove.
He knew he had a lot of eyes on him, but I definitely think that he wanted to do that event for Charlie. I think it meant something to him to have Charlie involved in that event. So,
no doubt. But look how he performed.
I understand that, but he's also the greatest golfer of all time. So
he almost won it, and he hit every club. You know what I mean? It's not like he shied off of driver.
But it's walking over 4 rounds to me that I don't see him being able to do.
That's going to be the true test. Walking Augusta or something.
Because we're talking about PNC was 2 rounds, and he had a cart. I get that, but like I said, it was also 2 months ago. And all we can do when we speculate is go based on the information that we're getting from other sources. And one big source that I keep looking at is the other PGA Tour players who know him well, who keep saying how much surprised they are, how much further along he is than they thought, and how these guys are. That to me is an indication that he's even better than we know.
Yes, you're right. But I think the only reason this thing got all the hype that it did is because the title of the article, "Close Friend of Tiger," says he doesn't think Woods will tee it up in 22.
Yeah, but you know what? He's got a lot of close friends, around golf, and a lot of them say much more promising things.
Right.
So who knows? Anyway, let's. One thing I kind of hinted at earlier that I want to talk about. We're talking about money. Is this is really promising to see this. The U.S. Women's Open purse, it's increasing to $10 million. In 2022.
I could see women's golf really, really exploding. I mean, the Corda sisters are doing a great thing for the game.
100%.
I think it's on the move, man.
And I think we saw like the U.S. Women's Amateur, what was it, 2 years ago now at Augusta, got great viewership on the weekend in prime time. There's a lot of exciting things happening in women's golf, and I think this is a wise investment to make because I see the game only continuing to grow to the female demographic. And I think by showing that we're now having purses that compete with the men's, you're going to see a lot more it's going to bring a lot more new women golfers into the game.
Definitely.
In a lot of ways, because they're going to see that the work that we talked about earlier, the incredible amount of work it takes to play at the highest level. And if they start to see that their return on that is starting to be on par with the men, you're going to start to see it bring more people into the game.
And you know what? I love it. I love it even more so as a dad to daughters, because my daughter will sit down and watch women's golf with me. Right. She won't watch the golf we watch, PGA Tour, unless Tiger's in the field. Yeah. Because like she knows Tiger. But when she sees like the girls on TV, they're wearing like what she wears, like skirts, she's 8, my daughter, and she's like into it, because she sees a competitive sport by girls. By the way, I told her the other day, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I said, I know you like watching Charlie and Tiger. I was like, can you do me a favor and try to marry Charlie so that Tiger can be like your father-in-law? That'd be like the coolest part of my life.
This guy's daughter is 8 years old, and he's already betrothed.
Only 4 years. Come on. And I said, imagine if we were going, Christmas dinners at Tiger's house this year. It's great.
He's got her married off already. That's hilarious.
But no, this is great news.
I think it's great for that. And also, like, we're talking about this is not a one and done thing. They were saying that the purse is going to be, over the next 5 years, it's going to keep increasing. So it's going to be 11 million and then 12 million eventually over the next 5 years. And I think the other thing that this does is it's a headline grabber in a lot of ways. And I think it's going to do is it's a commitment by, the US Open, the USGA to spend the dollars to bring more eyeballs in, because I think it'll also bring more men to watching think about it, grabs the headline. These girls are playing for 10 million. These women are playing for
first
10
prize,
million.
1.8 million this year.
12 million. Yeah. I think more of us are going to turn it on. And then the other thing that's cool is that they've really made a commitment to hosting it at some incredible venues, some of the America's best golf courses. Those are things that are going to bring
Pine Needles.
Can you guys give me some a little bit of background? Like, what are the men making? Like, I don't watch a lot of golf.
The men's U.S. Open top prize is probably like 2.2, 2.4 million.
Okay, so the gap is getting a lot smaller.
With these numbers, it's getting a lot closer.
That's awesome.
100%.
I mean, the winner will be taking home of this U.S. Women's Open. U.S. Open more than what the men take on an average weekly tournament.
Right, because the majors, don't forget, will always bring a bigger purse. So this is a major. It'll bring a bigger purse. But I think this lifts everything. When you start to see like one or two start to do this.
And now you've got big names like Danielle Kang, Nelly Korda, Lexi Thompson. Like now they're all going to be duking it out for 1.8 million. Like now you've got it. It's getting a little more competitive, more excitement.
And it just shows that at the end of the day, the numbers got to make sense for the sponsors too.
That's
true.
It
just shows the eyeball. So now you've got this company ProMedica, which is going to be like the main. It's a nonprofit health and well-being organization. They're the presenting sponsor, so it's a pretty penny that they're throwing towards it. But again, I think it's just one more way that's going to help cast women's golf more into the spotlight. And the one thing that I consistently hear over and over are from people who do watch more LPGA Tour events is how good it is, how entertaining it is. So I think it's more so it's getting people in that door, getting, people to actually sit down and watch. And once they do, it becomes more of a regular thing. It's just getting them over that line, because there's just a lot of people who just haven't seen what's going on the LPGA Tour. You hear rumblings, and then now it's like, okay, you watch it and be like, oh, I can see this is something that I could get into. No matter, we're not just saying like increasing viewership among female golfers, male golfers too. Like everyone watching more of it. It's some great things going on over there, and I think we're just going to see and hear more and more of it.
I agree.
As it progresses. All right, Mike, let's do a quick word from our sponsor. Then after that, I want to dive into, we got a couple more things that we want to chat about, some golf stuff that's trending on Reddit. And then we've got a brand new segment we're calling Bank It or Shank It. We're going to get you guys involved in the comments. We want to hear whether you're banking it or shanking it. And of course, we got to talk about some big, hot button topics. One in big, one is Patrick Reed. Anytime Patrick Reed comes up, you're going to have some polarized opinions. So we're going to dive into that in a second. Let's do a quick word from our sponsors. All right, guys, this podcast is sponsored by Titleist, and the evolution of the T-Series advances Titleist even further in their mission to produce the best irons in the world. New materials, new processes, new refinements, power, new precision that must be felt to believe. Each model is an instrument of exacting performance passed from Titleist R&D to Tour Pros to you. And we talked about it earlier, talking about Cam Smith winning with a full bag of Titleist, and he's got those new Titleist T-Series T100 irons in the bag. It certainly worked for him, and it's working for us. Both of us have upgraded to the new generation. We both did our What's in the Bag videos recently where we ran through them. But like it says here, you guys got to go out and try them. Make it a commitment to go out there, get fit. There's so much in that new T-Series line, from the T100s, the T100S, the T200, T300. There's something in there for every golfer, and I love the idea that you can really mix and match these, come up with a mix set that really works for you in the different areas of your game where you need the most improvement, or be able to take advantage of that technology. So the new Titleist T-Series, precision made, precision played. Check them out at Titleist.com.
And a big thanks to FootJoy. Guys, it's cold. I mean, today's the coldest day of the year, right?
9 degrees, it said
9
in my car driving
degrees.
here. 9 degrees Fahrenheit.
And if there was not snow on the ground, we might have played today. We played
in 28 degrees.
So, I mean, there's nothing stopping us, and that's just because a company like FootJoy, they create clothing and accessories that helps make every day playable. We talk about it all the time. And, you know, things that kept us alive last week were things like that phase 1 base layer, that thermal. Yeah. And, you know, I love the apparel that these guys are coming out with, because they're not just sticking with the old styles from the past. They're morphing into some of those modern looks, like that hybrid hoodie, which I love. Yeah. It's acceptable on the golf course. Great to see them get in the
hoodie game. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's the quality is just legit. I mean, they know what they're doing. It's got this panel insulation to beat cold temperatures, but it maintains, and I love this line, maintain complete mobility. And that's important. We talk about it all the time. My What's in the Bag coming out today, in fact, on the main channel. And at the end of the video, I talk about mobility through the golf swing, especially with that Hydro Tour rain jacket, which is like second skin, but it keeps you so warm out there.
Anybody could be warm if they went out there like George Costanza in the Gore-Tex, right? And he couldn't move. The art that FootJoy has perfected is by keeping you both warm and comfortable, but that movement. There's no restriction, and there's a lot that goes into designing clothes that they're able to move.
There's a lot of technology
specifically for golf.
Exactly. So you got to see it to believe it. Check it out. Go to footjoy.com. You can get everything there. Check it out. You will not be disappointed, and it may just extend your golf season. Trust me.
Hey, more golf is always good.
Yep.
All right, back to the show. All right, so Mike, before we dive into this new segment, one thing I definitely want to talk about, because it is cold here today. Like I said, 9 degrees. As much as we'll play in it, as long as there's no snow in the ground, I still like that escape. So hoping to get back to traveling a little bit. So what do we got on the agenda for this year?
Well, it's sad that, you know, next week would have been the week we would have been in Orlando for the PGA show.
Yeah, and it looking like they may pull the plug.
They might pull the plug. I think.
Yeah, with Omicron and the surging numbers, I think I've heard rumblings that the PGA show might be canceled this year, but no official word just yet.
Right. I mean, so you and I, we've shifted our I guess thinking to, let's just go somewhere warm and play golf, right?
Right.
You know, so we can go play some warm weather golf and create some fun videos for you guys. So we're actually in the. I got a call today after the show with Innisbrook. So we'll be heading down to Innisbrook. If you guys are familiar, Zach, let's see some Innisbrook photos here. Look at that.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
So this is where they play the Valspar every year. And if we're lucky enough to get there in February, the stands and everything, the grandstands for the Valspar will be up. So we'll be playing it in some prime PGA Tour conditions. But it's fingers crossed. And I say that because, let's be real, the golf industry is doing really well right now. Yeah. So a lot of golf resorts are just packed. They're packed throughout the year. They're packed even through, I mean, I bet Pebble Beach is packed, you know, all the way through the fall at this point. And it's great. It's great to see. So
speaking of which,
yes,
my father's rubbing it in. So
what is
he's in Florida right now.
Okay.
And he's traveling, he's playing. So he's been at Doral.
Oh, sure.
He's posting these pictures, right? I'll just get a picture with him saying, teeing off at 2. You know what I mean? I send him back pictures of a frozen parking lot outside the office window. But I tell you what, he's right now, my father too, talk about coming back from injury. He thought a year ago he was never going to be able to play golf again, because he was really struggling with some injuries, some lingering injuries. But he's back, man. He's back. Listen to this. The other day, he played his first round, shot 81. Today, he just texted me 9 a.m. He said, yesterday he had one of his best rounds, shot 74 on a par 71 course. Guy's lights out again.
Lights out.
Just when you think I can beat him.
That you think you're out.
I'm knocking on the door that I can finally beat him. He's got me. But anyway, speaking of travel, last year, big one, Pinehurst.
Was probably one of my favorite.
Can I tell this story?
Can I tell
the behind the scenes story? You want to tell it?
You could tell it.
I'll tell it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so here we go. So one thing that I had no idea, and I discovered this after.
I waited till after to tell you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Wait till after. And I think it came out by mistake. Like he slipped out. Like he was like something about like, how about that room service or how about that ice cream or whatever. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Because you got to understand something. When we are filming these travel series, like we are going nonstop. So we're usually playing 36 in a day. And anytime we're not playing, we're filling it up with extra stuff that we can do.
Then we have to feed ourselves, and then like we literally back to our hotel room by like 10.
Surviving, right? So we got to eat. But what I'm saying is, let's say you take a round that might be 4-hour, 5-hour round. There's also a little bit of travel in between, getting from course to course, and add another maybe hour onto that when we're there, getting some drone footage, doing things like that. So you're effectively running from sun up to sundown. So usually what'll happen is we'll go back to the room, and then everybody kind of crashes. Right. However,
we do the content swap first.
We do the content swap. So a big part of that is that I've always been hyper paranoid. The last thing on earth you want to do is film this whole series and lose all that content, that stuff that you filmed. So I've got this whole process where I'll dump everything onto external drives and I'll get it up onto Dropbox. And in case I lose an external drive driving home, something like that.
Frank's hotel room is like the New York Stock Exchange hub. It's where everything gets plugged in and prepared and charged up for the next day.
Exactly. Okay. So what I will bring is I'll bring a huge power strip with me that has about 15 different plugs, because at any time I'm usually charging somewhere around 10 camera batteries, multiple drone batteries, everything like that. So getting all that charged. So I joke that I fall asleep at night just to that faint glow of like all these little LED lights, so the green and red just kind of like flashing on and off of just like all the stuff charging. So, but I just go to bed and try to recharge. Mike across the way is a totally different story.
Totally different life.
My man's got no commitments. He's got nothing charging in there. Maybe he plugs his cell phone in, but then tell him what you did.
So on the TV at Pinehurst in the Carolina Hotel, the first channel is the room service menu. First channel, channel 1.
Which I didn't even get time to turn on.
He didn't even look for the remote in his room.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, it's late. It's like 9 o'clock. I was like, let's turn on. I think I turned on, I don't know, Family Guy or something that was on TV. And I was like, I'm hungry. I want a snack, midnight snack. I see ice cream sundae. I called down to room service. I said, this ice cream sundae looks great. I'd like one of those and 2 bottles of water, please. Right. Now, I think it was like a $14 sundae. Easily, because this was...
Which, by the way, Mike, one thing I definitely will give him, as much as I'm in charge of the batteries, Mike is in charge of the finance when we travel.
Yes.
So Mike could charge anything to that room and I wouldn't know about it.
Well, that's your problem. You got access to all those.
I know, but I know you're good with it. You rely on it. So Mike pays the bill. The bill, he has his credit card. So you could get away with many Sundays and I would not know.
I could. Yeah. I could. I don't, but now I could. Now knowing that I'm going to order it every night. But so this sundae was by far the best sundae I've ever had in my life. It came with a scoop of strawberry, scoop of chocolate, scoop of vanilla. And in the strawberry, there was like Reese's Pieces. Like in the vanilla, there was caramel. Like they really knew what they were doing there. It was weird. And with the bananas and the hot fudge, I'm sitting there in my bed. I'm just eating it. I ate the whole thing. That was like 1,400 calories, 2 bottles of water.
It's a tale of 2 rooms. So picture me, I'm in my room like with this flashing lights, just trying to get some sleep and worrying about like, are these batteries gonna be charged by the next morning? And there's Mike in the other room. He's just got a sundae. He's watching Family Guy. So the clip came on the other day, and I don't know if we have this. Do we have this clip?
We don't have the clip.
We'll find this clip. But the Seinfeld episode, we always refer back to the Seinfeld episodes. The Seinfeld episode comes on with Kenny Rogers Roasters chicken.
Yep. Right.
And I sent it to Mike and I said, I'm Jerry when they switched rooms, and I'm Jerry laying in the room with like the glow of the light.
Yep.
And he's Kramer in the other room eating hot wings in bed. No, eating the chicken wings in bed. I go, that was us. So if you guys ever wondered what happens between the scenes,
it's great. If this was like a movie, because we were in the same. Our hotel rooms were literally next to each other. So if it was like no walls and the camera just panned down the hall, it literally the tale of 2 lives.
It really is.
It was great.
And I had no idea he was living his best life in there. And I think
you should come down and hang out every now and then.
Let me ask you something. That happened more than one night, didn't it?
I swear it's been a one time only, but I
you
think
didn't
it might
order that
happen
Sunday 2 nights in a row.
No, I got it on the last night. It was
Okay.
like the last night we were there.
All right.
But if I got it on the first night, it would have
Guy
been
had a
every night.
celebration Sunday without even telling me.
I'll tell you what. Next time we go out, Sunday on me. Next travel series.
It's on you. It's on you. We split everything. Okay. Anyway,
we'll put that one out of my own pocket.
Let's jump right into Bank It or Shank It. All right. So this is a new series, the new segment we're going to do as often as we can here. We're going to talk about whether you bank it or shank it. We want you guys to weigh in. So make sure you let us know in the comments. Obviously, this should be self-explanatory, but if we're banking it, we like it. If we're shanking it, it's got to go. Right?
It's got to go. Right.
So one of the big news that hits this week is that Patrick Reed has joined PXG. I got to ask you: you bank it or you shank it? What do you think about this whole deal in general? This Patrick Reed and this whole deal.
I shank it.
Shank it. Wait, let's first tell everyone you're a Patrick.
If you just
Reed
said
guy.
Patrick Reed, bank it or shank it, I'd say bank it.
Okay, because you're a Reed guy. You like Reed.
I like Reed. I mean, I know a lot of people hate him. There's a lot of hatred towards him and the way he approaches the game and some of his cheating and things like that. But I don't mind him. I think he's a great player. He's a Masters winner. He's going to be at that Masters dinner every year for the rest of his life.
Certainly, everybody likes him when the Ryder Cup and stuff rolls around.
They love him. Captain America. He didn't make it last year though.
Yeah,
which was the big con.
I know.
But I think him in general, fine. I'll bank it. Shanking as far as if the PXG route for him. I know it's a risky play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bob Parsons taking some risks on guys and them taking risks on a club. And I do PXG troops kind of stick with it, or do they come and they go? They don't seem to be pretty consistent.
I'm trying to think of some of the other PXG guys. I think Billy Horschel was PXG for a while. I don't know if he still is.
I think he still might be. So maybe they do.
I mean, for those reasons that you say you're shanking it, I'm kind of banking it. I think that this is a good match because, as you said, Bob Parsons does things a little bit different. PXG does some things a little different. It's incredible equipment, no doubt. So we're pairing, one of the world's best golfers with some of the best equipment out there. I think that the PXG is not afraid to take risks, and I think that they're it takes any sponsor. I think because Reed is so polarizing, it takes going out on a limb a little bit. So in that way, I think it's a good matchup between the two because I think you get a company like that's owned by a bigger personality as Bob Parsons is, and is just say like if anyone's going to take a gamble and say I'm going to. Because at any time, a guy like Reed could do something, like we've had the quote-unquote cheating incidents, right? Could do something that generates a lot of bad press.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of guts to be behind him as a sponsor.
That's what I think more so. It's more so guts on that side.
And that's where I'm saying I think it was smart of two kind of blaze your own trail personalities getting together and taking a mutual gamble.
I wonder what they pay him for that.
That's a great question. I don't even know how many year deal it was. Yeah. I don't know if it said it in that.
I don't even know what any players make from club companies.
I don't know
if they publish it.
They don't.
I don't even think he's going full bag.
Oh, really? Because in that image, he was decked out. He had the hat. He had everything. He was going.
All right, I might be wrong.
Usually, when you get guys who do that type of commitment, they're full bag guys.
But there definitely has been in the last week. There has been a equipment change where the person was not picking up the full bag. So it might have been Patrick Reed this week, but I'm just not 100% sure.
I wonder if guys make more on tour from apparel deals, like Speed's $20 million a year from Under Armour, or Rory's like those speculative deals.
Yeah.
They're apparel.
They
Billboard.
make a killing.
They must.
For apparel.
They must make more money on apparel than
clubs.
Yeah,
it's tough to say. I mean, because it also comes to the question of like the pockets. How deep are the pockets? Does the apparel side make more money than?
Definitely.
I mean, if you're on the leaderboard
if you're talking to Under Armour,
I guess, and you think about like Nike,
Under Armour,
how much Nike makes in apparel.
Especially if you're a big name, like Brooks's outfits for the U.S. Open.
Crazy.
It's got to be so valuable for that.
Look at Nike; they got out of the equipment game
just to focus.
But they were an apparel company to start.
Right.
You don't have a lot of companies that are both.
They were also in
equipment and apparel.
They were also in the Tiger game.
Yeah. If you think about it, like PXG is not an apparel company. You know what I mean? It's just that they have apparel to promote.
Of course.
But anyway, let us know
next one here?
Whether you guys are banking that or shanking that one. And the next one here is go back to Bryson. Talking about Bryson, another big polarizing character. Bank it or shank it. Bryson wins a major this year, 2022.
I'm going to bank it, and I'm going to say U.S. Open in Brookline.
Okay.
I think that's the course that he shortens. I think just like he did at Winged Foot, I think he's going to have the same success dominating the field as a longer ball hitter. I don't think he does well in the other ones, but I think the U.S. Open this year is his one. I'm going to bank it.
I love it. You know what? I'm going to bank it too. And I don't know. I think the best chance is going to be the U.S. Open, but I think he's got a good shot at like the Open Championship. You know, we know that St. Andrews is not a course that you just raw overpower. But I think it's more so Bryson thinks differently. And I remember Tiger won there by he made his way around that course without hitting one bunker. You don't hit a bunker, you win, right?
Correct.
Because that's the way it's going to really punish you. That and the greens are punishing.
Right.
But we see like with Augusta, now it didn't work out for him, but we saw Bryson using like Google Earth to find different paths and shots to the green.
Right.
I mean, if he's doing that on that level, you never know. He may play it differently, but you're right, though. The U.S. Open in Massachusetts, the story, it's inevitable. We're going to see all the clips that are going to come out leading up to it of people dropping balls in the rough because you know it's a very similar type of grass type that we saw at Winged Foot. And they're going to grow that rough in like mad. But we saw with Bryson, he didn't really care about that. He still just pounded driver, and he still had what it took to get it on the green from the rough 100 yards out. Like it didn't seem to stop him. He powered right through it.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think that's a winning formula for him.
I really do. I think it is, and I think he's got a few majors. I even think Brooks wins one of these this year. You know, maybe that PGA at Southern Hills, you know, looking at that. But back on Bryson, I think that's the one for him. And I don't think his little wrist injury now is going to affect him at all going into this year. I think it's just a minor setback right now.
Minor setback.
He'll
one
be primed
thing that I
ready to
wonder, though, is if he'll ever win the Masters. He might be one of those guys that just gets tripped up by Augusta.
It happens.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You know what? I'm going to give you a bonus.
You don't think he wins, or you don't think he gets tripped up?
I definitely don't think he wins.
Yeah.
You don't think he wins?
Personally,
I think it's a different animal.
It's a totally different animal.
But back on the Open, by the way, going back to I mean, we joke about video games, but I remember going back when I played the WGT game.
Yeah.
I played from the tips. There were at least 3 to 4 holes on that game that were drivable.
Yes.
You drove one.
Yes. Now, not from the tips, but
no,
yes.
But still, but imagine these. The tips aren't that much further back at the ocean course. At the old course.
There are some hidden ones. I will say that.
We didn't see them.
If you, the reason I know that because I asked that question because I was saying like, this doesn't seem like a course that could play long enough for a major when we were there. Because we weren't playing the
I'm
forward
thinking about
tees
the first
by
and
any
18th
means.
hole, how they would move any of those back. But
Right. So with the tees we were playing, there was only one set of tees behind us. Right. You play based on your handicap. The starter will tell you.
So the
where
first
to
hole, you're
play.
the R&A right behind you. You can't go back any further.
Right. So I asked that, and they said there are some you would never know unless a caddy to point them out to you.
Okay.
There are ones that are across like a street or further back that they put those tees for those guys.
Gotcha.
Because if you look at the yardage, they are able to stretch it out a little bit, but they're never going to
make it that long.
It's not going to be like it was at the Ocean Course, and we're setting records of length. So you're right. There's a lot of ways that Bryson could shorten the heck out of it.
Spot bunkers will protect it.
Yes.
So you try to go long and you miss that fairway and you roll into one.
Exactly. So unlike where we're talking about like, here in the Northeast where we can say he can really drive the ball and then the worst thing that's going to happen, he's going to be in some deep rough and you can overpower that.
Yeah.
The difference is you try to overpower. If you miss just a little bit at the old course, you could be tucked up against a wall in one of those.
We've taken 50 shots in those bunkers alone.
Right. And you have to take your lumps and hit it out to the side sometimes. Distance doesn't do anything for you.
Not to mention wind.
Right. And if the wind is up and the weather, you don't know what's might be. So I think I agree with you. His best chance is going to be at the U.S. Open. You guys let us know what you think. Are you banking it or shanking it? Bryson wins a major this year. I'm going to give you one bonus bank it or shank it because it got me thinking here. Bank it or shank it. Does Rory McIlroy ever win a green jacket? Now, this is a tough one because his performance there every year, it just seems to be the place he struggles. But he's got the game to do.
It's so hard because that you want to bank it. I really want to bank it, but like we said, I think Augusta just gets into some people's heads.
Yeah,
that's the missing link for him. Like, what's the missing link for Phil winning a U.S. Open?
Yeah.
There's those ones that like it's in their head. It's got their number.
Right. But the U.S. Open's a little different animal because it changes venue. It makes me wonder, you got a guy like Rory who's got a lot more good years in him. And as his career progresses, there's going to be certain notches in his belt that he's going to want more and more, right? You could take a guy like that if you want to put a full commitment. And I understand, like, you know, it's still, like you said, all those intangibles of like your history there and stuff, but he could, you know, take it where he'll go there, you know, he'll skip an event, go there a week early and practice for 2 weeks at Augusta.
I just don't think it's enough. I don't think venue change has anything
So you're
to do.
shanking it.
I'm going to shank it. I'm going to shank it, man. I mean, listen, I just think it's something about that course. Like, if you were training me to fight, and like, every year I want you to fight Floyd Mayweather, eventually you're going to beat him. No, I'm not.
Right, but you're not Rory McIlroy. You know?
Well, if I was a good fighter, and I was going against the best fighter every year, there may be a chance that I could keep training and training to try.
But what if you're one of the all-time
beat him?
Best fighters going against the best?
Well, you
fighter?
put it that way.
Because we're talking, don't forget who we're talking about. We're talking about Rory McIlroy here.
Yeah, I'm shanking it because, Frank, you said he's got a lot of good years ahead of him. Yeah. I'm just wondering if the best years of his game are behind him.
Yeah, I'm going to say what I don't think they are. I think the only thing that's behind Rory is that the fields are getting harder and harder. The competition is getting harder and harder. But he's in peak. He's healthy.
Yeah, I think
he's not plagued by injury.
Mental toughness doesn't get old either.
Yeah,
that sticks with you.
He's in peak performance. Like, the guy is you know, as physically is a specimen. Yeah. Right. And I think that he might link up with the right mental game coach. That might, if it is a mental thing that's struggling with Augusta. But I think you give him, in his career, maybe he's got 10 more really good shots at it. 10 more really good, 10 years or 10 good runs at it. I'm going to bank it. I think Rory gets that green jacket before it's all over.
Okay.
But
I think he needs a win and he's got to win again. He's got to get that winning vibe, that feel again.
Yeah. Yes. And he's capable of it. He's still, you know, pulls in 1 or 2 a season, you know, here and there between here and the European tour. But yes, I think confidence is going to be a huge thing. See him start to win again. And if he wins at the right time, like leading into, I always wonder if it's that time of the schedule that's tough for him, you know, early on in the schedule, April. But I just think that the commitment's going to be there. I think, he's good friends with guys like Tiger, who you know, who as they wind down might start to give him a little more insight. Right now, Tiger doesn't want anyone to know all of what he knows about Augusta because he's still thinking he's winning there.
Exactly,
and I wouldn't disagree in a lot of ways. So who knows?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. April is right around the corner.
But hey, enjoying this segment. We'll get some new ones for you guys every week. Make sure you let us know in the comments, and for each one of these, whether you think it's going to happen or it's not. But anyway,
sorry,
go ahead.
Real quick, cutting in here.
Get it.
If you guys have any bank it or shank it ideas, submit them to the Golf Podcast Instagram page.
That's right.
And we'll get them on the show, and we'll get you credit in there, and it's like you'll be a part of the show.
That's exactly right. Throw them in there. Ask us the question. Stump us a little bit. We're happy to debate it. Anyway, that's everything we have for you guys this week. You can get to the show notes by going to golficity.com. I've said that now 410 times, and I still can't get it right.
Still can't get it. You'll get it.
Anyway,
one day.
Episode 410. It's golficity.com/episode 410. And like I said before, make sure you guys smash that subscribe button. We got the brand new channel. We're going to be doing a lot more with it this year. So we want to make sure we grow that. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, and we'll see everybody again next week.